Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Saturday that the second stage of the war against Hamas has begun, with the goal of destroying the group's armed wing and government and returning hostages held in Gaza home. Our heroic fighters have one goal: to destroy this enemy and to make sure the existence of our country never again. Never again is now, Netanyahu said during a news conference Saturday. Netanyahu also confirmed he spoke with the family of hostages held by Hamas and vowed to them that he would exhaust all options to return their loved ones. During the same media briefing, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said the intensifying assault will increase the chances Hamas will return hostages it is holding in Gaza. As we hit the enemy harder, there's a better chance that the enemy will agree to solutions to return the loved ones, Gallant said. The expansion of ground operations has alarmed families of hostages, with an advocacy group saying Saturday that loved ones face absolute uncertainty regarding the fate of the hostages held in Gaza, who were also subject to the heavy bombings. Anxiety, frustration, and especially enormous anger that none of the war cabinet bothered to meet with the families of the hostages to explain one thing: whether the ground operation endangers the well-being of the 229 hostages in Gaza, the group said in a statement. This powerful statement set the stage for what was to come, a promise of an aggressive response from Israel and its prime minister. The conflict between Israel and Hamas escalated quickly, with both sides engaging in violent exchanges. Tensions, originally sparked by religious discord in Jerusalem, flared into a conflict of significant magnitude. The severity of the situation was reminiscent of the war that had ravaged the region in 2014. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was unyielding in his stance. He pledged to persist in attacking Hamas following the demise of a Hamas commander. On the other side of the battle line, Hamas retaliated with rocket fire. The fallout from these violent exchanges was devastating. Israeli airstrikes resulted in the death of 56 individuals in Gaza, including 14 children and Hamas members. Meanwhile, Hamas rocket fire claimed the lives of 6 Israelis. As the conflict raged on, the International Criminal Court, or ICC, took notice. The top prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, issued a warning against crimes in the escalating violence. The ICC initiated an investigation into alleged war crimes committed by both sides. This included offenses by the Israeli military and Palestinian armed groups, such as Hamas, in the Gaza Strip and the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Israel, however, rejected the jurisdiction of the ICC, accusing the court of bias. Despite these claims, Bensouda emphasized that the decision to proceed with the investigation was based strictly on the law, not politics. The escalation of violence resulted in a tragic loss of life, with at least 83 Palestinians and 7 Israelis losing their lives. The conflict was not only a physical battle but also a legal one, with the ICC investigation hanging like a specter over both parties. In the midst of this escalating violence, Netanyahu remained resolute, vowing to continue attacking Hamas. However, the political landscape in Israel was shifting, potentially signaling the end of Netanyahu's 12-year tenure. The tides were changing, and a new player was stepping onto the stage. Naftali Bennett, a former ally of Netanyahu, emerged as a strong contender challenging Netanyahu's long-standing rule. Bennett, who had once been mentored by Netanyahu himself, was now criticizing the prime minister's leadership style. He accused his former mentor of leading Israel towards his own personal Masada, referencing the Jewish zealots who committed mass suicide rather than surrender to the Romans. Bennett's rise was marked by his announcement of a national unity government with Yair Lapid, the leader of the centrist Yesh Atid party. This was a significant development, a move that could spell the end of Netanyahu's reign. But Netanyahu was not one to be easily dismissed. Despite facing criminal charges, he continued to hold a significant position within the Likud party, Israel's largest political group. He was not just a member, he was their leader, and he continued to exert pressure on the opposition. Netanyahu was a seasoned player in the game of politics, and he was expected to plot a comeback. He was likely to exploit any discord within the new coalition government. His influence on Israeli society had been profound over the years, and his impact would continue to be felt even if he was no longer in power. This was a crucial time in Israeli politics. Would Netanyahu manage to retain his position, or would the new coalition succeed in their shared desire to replace him? Only time would tell. Even as Netanyahu's political future hung in the balance, his influence on Israeli society and politics remained undeniable. Netanyahu's Israel remains divided, and peace with its Palestinian neighbors still seems far off. The new government, united in their desire to replace Netanyahu, faces the daunting task of addressing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and healing a divided nation. Yet the shadow of Netanyahu looms large. His legacy continues to shape Israel's regional policy, and his influence is deeply ingrained in the fabric of Israeli society. Despite the change in leadership, Netanyahu's presence is still felt. His tactics and strategies, his exploitation of divisions within Israeli society, and his relentless drive have left a lasting imprint. Even now, amidst the political shake-up, whispers of his potential return to power echo through the halls of the Knesset. The challenges ahead are immense. The International Criminal Court's investigation into alleged war crimes adds yet another layer to the complex tapestry of Israeli politics. As the second stage of the war against Hamas begins, the outcome remains uncertain. Yet one thing is clear: Netanyahu's influence on Israel and its politics will be felt for years to come.